called Global Child Rights and Wrongs, and it managed to get articles from a lot of people from foreign countries. We had Norwegian, Latvian and Czech members of parliament talking about the excesses of these child protection systems. We had veteran British journalist, the late Christopher Booker, write about what appears to be an epidemic of child snatching in the United Kingdom. We had lawyers from America. We had academics, activists, all kinds of people who got together on this forum. And it's my great pleasure that Professor Nalapat is part of this event.
Thank you very much. I want to say that I've come here essentially because, a young lady called me. Her name was Suranya Iyer, and she seemed a little, she talked to me on the phone about a terrible problem, and that is children being snatched away from parents who are settled in various so-called advanced countries. And look, in some of these cases, it may be justified. You may have some parents who are horrible, and the children may benefit from whatever happens to them. But in many other cases, I'm quite certain, it's an act of terrible cruelty. And it's basically an act which gives the problem is a subliminal sense of superiority. That our, O-U-R, I frankly am very nervous about the word our in any context because after all of us share so many things in common. So there's nothing really ours and theirs or whatever. But our culture is somehow superior. Our ways are somehow superior. Not just in producing a machine tool or an automobile, but also in raising children. Now, I mean, Vijay has traveled to many more countries than I have. I think he's like an encyclopedia where the world is concerned, and I'm only sorry that Vijay has not been writing enough books on the subject. And I do encourage him to write on the subject because he would be an amazing encyclopedia of insights into different countries. But what I want to say is that automatically it's assumed that if you bring your children up except in a particular way which is supposed to be the best way. And very often this is not even the best way of the population at large. It's the best way as decided by a small number of so-called experts. And I mean, in my own case, I confess to being guilty of being the vice chairman of the Manipal Advanced Research Group. So basically, I have been made the vice chairman, the pro-chancellor, the chairman. In my case, because I know almost nothing of any of these advanced research subjects. But I do believe that one can sense the dedication, the sincerity, and the logic of proposals that are brought forward. So in that very small way, I think I can contribute. But the reality is, very often these methods are not really democratically worked out or even culturally worked out over time. They're essentially methods decided upon by a small inbred group of people, very cloistered, whom hardly anyone would know anything about. I mean, the events in this book are probably related to some quote-unquote expert, either in Norway or the UK or in the US or God forbid, maybe even here in India. We have a lot of Indian experts who have got a lot of these theories. And that is now being operationalized and the consequences have been tragic. So the reality is that, I was born in a village, and I think it's, at least in our country, there's a tremendous bond between parent and child. Especially, frankly, between the mother and child, and mother and son. I'd like to say the eldest son, because I am the eldest son of my mother, and I always believed that there was a special bond, although of course, I don't believe there was. There was a bond with all of us. We had two kids who were in a sense adopted, foster children, Irshad and Imtiaz, myself and my two natural born brothers. But anyway, there is that special bond. So it's a terrible cruelty. And what Suranya described to me sounded to me logical and rational in its irrationality and in its cruelty. So I told her what you said deserves more than an op-ed. It possibly deserves a series of write-ups. And of course, she is, I think it runs in her family, I'm not going to say anything more, absolutely passionately devoted to something that she believes in. She fights very hard for them, she works very hard for them, and we had an excellent series from her on this particular issue, which I think highlighted this issue very significantly. I want to end with the diplomatic language that Vijay used, that Norway, it's an exceptional country. We have a close friend of ours who's a former journalist who's married a Norwegian, and I mean, they're wonderful people. The Norwegians are wonderful people. But the difficulty is, as Lord Keynes said, anything that happens in the world, for all we know, in fact, whether it was Keynes or some scribbler somewhere in an attic has scribbled something, and that scribble is now what has become, over several iterations, policy, and is affecting tens of millions of lives. So sometimes theories go horribly wrong. And when you come from a third world country and you're face to face in a first world country, the assumption is that the first world country knows better than you. I mean, the case of India, for example, as Vijay will tell you, there was a very big difference in the 90s when we had this IT kind of talk in India, and especially the Y2K. After Y2K, when my Indian passport was pretty seriously taken by immigration officials. But back in the late 80s and through a lot of the 90s, well, it's a funny country. It's a country where you've basically got snake charmers and elephants and that's it. But what kind of people are you? So I only want to say that those perceptions are unfortunately alive. They're not there in scholarly articles. They're not there in books. They're not there in conversation. Possibly, hopefully, not even dinner table conversation. But they are there subliminally. And a large part of our activity is driven by the subliminal. So I want to end again by saying that what was told to me by this young lady was struck me as a horrible act of cruelty. So I talked to the editor of Sunday Guardian, Joyita Basu, an outstanding person who's really doing all the hard work. Some people are kind enough to give me some of the credit for that. Let me assure you, it's Joyita's work. Joyita basically studied her, there were 2 or 3 op-eds that she sent, and she said, you're right, let's run it, and it was run, and I'm glad we did it. So I've come here essentially to join Vijay in this tribute to this very outstanding and brave lady. To this lady whose love, whose devotion to her children, frankly made her go through, form the courage, the determination to go through these obstacles. And I'd like to say, as someone who's an ethnically Indian myself, as an ethnic Indian, and of course as an Indian citizen, I'm proud of you, I'm proud of people like you, and I say, may there be more in our country. Thank you. Suranya, I must apologize because I've got 3 or 4 things to do, but I just wanted to come and salute this young lady, and I want to come and salute you for drawing attention to us. Thank you.